Welcome to Fox Lingo. Today's topic is, can you speak without learning grammar? And look, before we even start, we really need to talk about the absolute tragedy that is your current relationship with learning a language.
Oh, it's a tragedy. A highly preventable one, I might add.
Totally preventable. So let's just paint a painfully relatable picture here for you listening. You have spent years, and I mean literally years of your life memorizing rules.
Oh, yeah. The endless workbooks.
Right. You've filled out the workbooks. You've aced the written tests. You've probably highlighted your notes in like 3 different neon colors.
I remember your notes. You had a whole color coding system. It was honestly a little unhinged.
Hey, I thought it was organized. But on paper, you feel like you were basically a walking, breathing dictionary of verb conjugations.
You feel so prepared.
Exactly. And yet, the moment a tourist on the street walks up to you, smiles, and asks a ridiculously simple question, what actually happens?
Complete system failure.
Yes. Your brain completely, utterly betrays you. It just shuts down. You experience the physical sensation of, like, the blue screen of death on an old computer.
It is a painful thing to witness. And considering we've been best friends since we were practically toddlers, I have seen you execute that exact blue screen of death at least a dozen times.
Okay, look, I was younger.
Your eyes glaze over, your jaw kind of locks up, and the poor tourist slowly backs away thinking they've offended you somehow.
Okay, I am much better now, for the record. But that freeze, it's a very real, very visceral physical reaction. You feel completely paralyzed, like your throat actually tightens.
It does, which is exactly why we are tackling this in today's video. We are going to settle this ultimate dilemma once and for all for you.
We really need to.
We need to figure out, do you actually need grammar to speak? Or should you just, throw caution to the wind and start talking?
Right.
Because if you dig into the mechanics of language acquisition, there's this massive truth bomb right at the center of it.
Related on them?
Here is the core thesis. You can start speaking without learning grammar, but you can never speak by only learning grammar.
Oof. I will pull that apart immediately. Because to fix this freezing problem, we have to completely dismantle your fundamental misunderstanding of what language learning actually is.
Yeah, we have to tear it down to the studs.
Exactly. The biggest trap, the one I lived in for a decade, and the one you listening are probably trapped in right now, is treating language like it's mathematics.
That is the perfect way to describe the illusion. We view language as algebra.
We really do. We think that if we just sit down and memorize the formula, we'll automatically get the right result.
Like it's a guaranteed equation.
Right. It's this belief that subject plus auxiliary verb plus past participle equals me sounding like a native speaker. We literally think we can calculate our way to fluency.
Which is wild when you say it out loud.
It is. But why is that mathematical approach so completely doomed?
Because language isn't math. It just isn't. It operates under a completely different biological paradigm. It's much closer to building muscle.
Okay, building muscle.
Yeah, think about going to the gym. If you sit on a bench and just watch workout videos on your phone for an hour.
Which I have definitely done.
We all have.
Yeah.
But if you just focus on the perfect form for a bicep curl on your screen, your physical body doesn't develop at all. You can understand the mechanics perfectly, but you leave the gym looking exactly the same.
Wait, so me memorizing the rules for the present perfect tense isn't magically making my mouth capable of using it?
Not even a little bit. To build muscle, you need physical application. You need tension. You need resistance.
Right. You have to actually lift the thing.
Exactly. Studying grammar rules without speaking is the exact equivalent of sitting on the couch watching those fitness videos. Imagine you study the present perfect intensely. You memorize, I have eaten, I have gone, I have seen.
You know the formula cold?
You know the formula. But if you never open your mouth and apply this in a real-life conversation, your brain doesn't know what to do with it.
And the brain is lazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, incredibly lazy. Your brain is incredibly stingy with its metabolic energy. It looks at that unused grammar data sitting in a holding cell and says, well, we never use this information to actually move the muscles in our face and communicate in the real world.
So it's useless.
Yeah. It says keeping this memory alive is a waste of calories. And it simply hits the delete button.
Man, it just dumps the data, which is devastating when you spent like 3 weeks studying it in a textbook.
It's totally devastating.
So if my brain is treating grammar like a useless workout video, what exactly is happening to me when I freeze on the sidewalk in front of that tourist?
Let's walk through that nightmare scenario. A foreigner walks up to you, smiles, and asks a seemingly harmless question.
The dreaded question.
Yeah, where are you from?
And instead of just answering the question like a normal human being, the internal panic begins. My brain turns into a chaotic war room.
I can literally see the gears grinding.
It's so bad. I start thinking, okay, I need to say, I am from Turkey. But wait, is this supposed to be in the present simple? Is it culturally appropriate to use am? Should I say I come from instead?
Oh, the overthinking is real.
Which one sounds more natural to an English speaker?
And while you are running that intense internal audit, searching your mental database for the perfect mathematical formula, what is happening in the real world?
A deadly, excruciating 5-second silence.
Yeah, and in human conversation, 5 seconds of dead silence is an eternity.
It's practically a lifetime.
The other person is just staring at you. You're trapped in your own head, debating tenses. And the result is that the conversation dies right there on the sidewalk before it even begins.
It's so tragic, because if I had just bypassed the grammar filter entirely and blurted out, I'm from Turkey, the matter would be settled.
The interaction would be a total success.
And here's where we identify the real villain. Your goal, when you are standing in front of that person, shouldn't be speaking correctly. Your goal should simply be speaking.
Exactly. The massive roadblock is that people aim for perfect accuracy instead of focusing on communication.
Right.
We have this paradox where speaking correctly only comes through the messy, incorrect act of speaking.
But wait, if I could play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
If I want to learn to swim and I just jump into the deep end of the pool without watching a tutorial or knowing the theory, I'm going to drown. Isn't that why we study grammar? So we don't, drown in front of a native speaker?
That is the exact fear that keeps everyone trapped. But the analogy is flawed. Making a grammar mistake in front of a tourist isn't drowning.
What is it then?
It's just splashing awkwardly. The listener isn't going to let you die. They are going to hand you a floaty by guessing what you mean and keeping the conversation going.
Oh, that's a really good point.
The issue you're facing isn't a lack of theory. You actually have an overload of theory.
Too much theory.
Yeah, you've essentially been sitting at home watching YouTube swimming tutorials for 6 straight months. You know the strokes, the breathing techniques, the optimal angle of your hands entering the water.
I'm practically an Olympic coach in my head.
Exactly.
And then I jump into the shallow end, start flailing around and cry out, why can't I swim?
Precisely. You can't swim because your body has zero physical experience with the resistance of the water.
Zero.
You've overloaded your brain with a theory of swimming, but your muscles don't know how to coordinate. English is exactly the same. You study grammar for years, you never speak, and then you're shocked when your vocal cords and your brain can't coordinate in real time.
Which makes total sense.
You can't speak because you literally haven't spoken.
This perfectly explains the most frustrating symptom of this entire process. It's an illusion almost every language learner falls for.
The classic trap.
If you're watching this video, you have absolutely said this exact phrase to someone. Ready? I understand everything I hear, but I just can't speak.
Oh man, it is the universal complaint. It feels like this mysterious curse.
Yes. It feels like a genuine cognitive defect. You're like, what is wrong with my brain? But when you look at the mechanics of it, it's not a mystery at all.
Not at all. It is entirely an issue of an input versus output imbalance.
Break that down.
Well, you have spent years feeding your brain a massive diet of input. You listen to music, you read news, you watch movies with subtitles.
Into watching shows.
Exactly. You are constantly absorbing the language neurologically, but you have zero output. No production, no physical coordination of the lungs, vocal cords, and tongue.
I love thinking about the brain as a ruthless factory manager trying to cut costs.
That's a great way to look at it.
Because you never force yourself to speak. Your inner factory manager looks at the situation and concludes, okay, clearly understanding this language passively is very important for our survival because it's coming through our ears every day. I will keep those neural pathways wide open.
Makes sense.
But producing this language, actually speaking it, we literally never do that. The speaking department gets zero practice. So speaking clearly isn't necessary. Cut their funding. Shut down the assembly line.
That is exactly the biological reality. Your brain prunes the output pathways because you don't use them. It's a lack of physical habit, not a lack of grammar rules. rules.
Right.
And to really hammer this point home, think about the ultimate language learning masters, babies.
Oh, those tiny, relentless learning machines.
Think about how a baby learns their native language. Nobody sits a toddler down in a high chair with a whiteboard and says, look, this is the subject and over here is the predicate. Do not mix them up.
Can you imagine? Timmy, your use of the past participle just now was frankly embarrassing for this family.
Right, that never happens. Instead, what does the child do? They speak absolute, unfiltered nonsense.
Pure chaos.
They point at a swing and shout, I go and bark, with terrible grammar. But nobody stops them to correct their sentence structure before they're allowed to play. They just go to the park.
Yeah, get the result.
Yes. And their language improves over time purely through relentless, constant, messy use. They have no ego.
No ego at all. Which exposes the biggest fantasy we hold on to as adults.
What's that?
This idea of, I will stay in my safe little bubble, I will learn the language perfectly from my textbooks, and then I will go out and grace the world with my flawless speech.
A beautiful dream.
That world does not exist.
It's a total fantasy. But if speaking is the absolute only way to learn, why do we constantly retreat back to the safety of our grammar books? Why are we so terrified of the output?
Look, we have to be honest with ourselves here. A lot of this is just pure vanity.
Oh, vanity, 100%.
We have perfection paralysis. When you are mid-conversation, you aren't just trying to communicate. You're actively trying to sound sophisticated.
You want to impress them.
You are running this ridiculous multiple choice test in your head while the other person is waiting.
You're standing there thinking, should I use the past tense here? They said yesterday, so past tense. But wait, maybe the present perfect would sound way cooler. Maybe it makes me sound like a diplomat.
And while you are trying to sound like a sophisticated diplomat, your actual speaking skills have completely abandoned you.
Totally gone.
The irony is, the person standing opposite you, the one you are trying so hard to impress, literally just wants to hear you say, I went out yesterday. That is it. Nobody expects a formal dissertation from you on a Tuesday afternoon.
We retreat to the books because of the psychological comfort of studying versus the sheer, unadulterated chaos of speaking.
It is comforting.
Grammar is incredibly comforting. When you sit down with a workbook, you finish a topic, you ace a little quiz at the end of the chapter, and you get this massive hit of dopamine. You feel productive. You say, wow, I worked really hard today.
It's safe. It's controllable. A workbook never gives you a weird look if you take 5 minutes to answer a question.
Exactly. Speaking, on the other hand, is completely chaotic. You don't know what the other person will say. You struggle to find the words. You pause. You stutter. You stop and start over.
It's messy.
Frankly, you look ridiculous. And human beings hate looking ridiculous. We subconsciously gravitate back to the grammar books because it protects our egos.
Our fragile egos.
But the hard truth is that neurological development only happens in the struggle. It never happens in the safe zone.
And this is where the mechanics of how we learn get really fascinating. Making mistakes isn't just a possibility, it is an absolute requirement for the brain to learn.
Essential.
Let's say you tell a story and you blurt out, yesterday I go to the cinema.
Technically, mathematically, grammatically, that is completely wrong.
But did the listener understand you?
Yeah.
Yes. They know you went to the cinema yesterday. Communication was achieved.
The mission was a success.
Right. But here's the magic part. When you say, yesterday I go, and you see the other person blink for a second, or maybe they look slightly confused before they understand, your brain logs that friction.
The friction is the key.
It really is.
That tiny spike of embarrassment or awkwardness is the emotional glue your brain needs. After you make that same mistake a few times in the chaos of real conversation, your brain will suddenly have an aha moment.
It wakes up.
The friction rewires the neural pathway, and your brain says, oh, wait, every time I say go for the pass, it feels weird. Right, that was supposed to be went.
It automatically corrects itself. The embarrassment literally builds the memory. So grammar doesn't come first as the starting point. It comes later as the brain's natural correction mechanism.
Which brings us to the practical part of this deep dive. Now that we have busted the math myth and hopefully destroyed your fear of looking foolish, how do we actually do this?
We need a plan.
What is the roadmap out of this trap?
Because we aren't saying grammar is evil. We just need to put it in its proper place.
Exactly. Is grammar completely unnecessary? No. But is grammar the main character of your language learning journey? Absolutely not.
Side character energy.
Grammar is strictly the supporting character. You and your actual messy, chaotic speech are the main character.
Okay, so if I'm the main character, but I'm not allowed to start with grammar, how do I actually start? Do I just walk up to people, point at things, and grunt like a caveman?
You're actually not far off.
Wait, really?
Yeah, you embrace the gradual build. You do not start by memorizing complex terms like adverbs of frequency.
Yeah.
You start by speaking simply, using short sentences, and willingly making mistakes.
Okay.
Step 1, you just force out the raw words, I go work every day.
Very caveman,
Yeah.
very simple, but perfectly understandable.
Understandable is the goal. Then, once your mouth and your brain are comfortable actually saying that out loud, you add a tiny bit of grammar.
Just a sprinkle.
Step 2, I go to work every day.
Okay, the gears are turning, it's getting smoother.
Step 3, you add some detail. I go to work every day at 9.
Nice.
And finally, step 4. Once all of that feels completely natural and requires zero mental translation, you add the final polish. I usually go to work at 9.
See, when you break it down like that, the brain doesn't panic. Grammar comes gradually, almost sneaking in the back door.
It's totally sneaky.
It prevents that catastrophic blue screen overload we talked about earlier. If I had tried to start with step 4, trying to remember where the adverb usually goes before my mouth even knew how to comfortably say work, I would have frozen completely on the sidewalk.
Because the human brain cannot process abstract theory and the physical act of speaking simultaneously if neither is an established habit yet.
You'd have to build the habit first.
Exactly.
So if I had to synthesize all of this into an ultimate foolproof success cycle, it would look exactly like this. You speak, then you make mistakes. Then you notice those mistakes. Then you correct them. And finally, you speak again.
That's it.
Speak, make mistakes, notice, correct, speak again. That is the actual engine of fluency.
That is the cycle. It's not about hiding in books. It's about building communication skills through friction in the real world.
The messy real world.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a new golden rule. The absolute law you must follow from this day forward.
Listen up.
The next time you're standing in front of someone and you have the opportunity to speak English, I forbid you from asking yourself, is this correct? Instead, you must ask yourself one question, and one question only. Will it be understandable?
That's the only metric that matters.
Because the moment you focus on being understandable rather than being perfect, the paralysis vanishes.
That is a massive paradigm shift. And I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over today as you go about your business.
Give it to them.
We've talked a lot about the fear of making mistakes, the fear of that awful 5-second freeze. But what if the embarrassing mistakes you are so terrified of making aren't actually roadblocks at all? What if they are the exact mandatory stepping stones your brain requires to permanently lock in the language? Think about it. Your first sentence out of your mouth might be terrible.
Oh, it definitely will be terrible.
It probably will be terrible. But if you don't force that terrible first sentence out into the open, the second sentence and the fluent third sentence that finally starts to flow smoothly, they will never, ever happen.
You're stuck at 0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to endure the terrible first sentence to earn the fluent third one.
You have to jump in the pool and be willing to splash around.
You have to jump in the pool. Well, that is all for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and like.